What's up, team? Happy Whiteboard Wednesday. I'm holding up one finger because I got one cool thing to show you today. Look, it doesn't have to be fancy to be effective. You don't need to do all the things. You need to do one thing really well. So we talked to you that throughout October, we're diving in a lot to gymnastics work or body weight movement or calisthenics. You can put all these different names with it. But you've been seeing a lot of push-up stuff, whether that's floor presses, maybe you've been controlling your descent on the way down in the push-up, whatever. How do you get better at the push-up? Well, I'll tell you this. You need to train your tricep. Your tricep is a third of your arm. That's how big that sucker is. So yes, the push-up is about your chest, but if you have a weak tricep, it's not going to work real well. A bench dip is a very, very good way to actually train the push-up. A bench dip looks like this. You step out, and then you drop yourself down and back up, down and back up. Now, it looks simple, but it has a lot to do with your position. If your position is good, the movement will be good. If your position is bad, it's not going to go too well. So here's how I want you to get set up. Get you a bench. You don't need a high one. This one's just fine. And you're going to take your hands and you're going to bring them right outside your hips. That's really important because where do you do a push-up? Right outside your shoulders. So if you're trying to do a bench dip like this and a push-up like this, it's not going to work well. You bring your hands right outside your hips with your fingers facing forward. You want the majority of your palm on the bench, and then you want to try to get your hips as close to the bench as possible. You don't want to be out here. You want to be right here because you're trying to mimic the push-up. If your knees are bent, it'll be a little bit easier. If your legs are straight, it'll be a little bit harder. I want you to draw your elbows back like they're going away from me, and you go down as far as you can, and then come back up. If you can't quite do that, bend your knees. That way your legs can give you a little help. But look at my elbows. What you don't want is you don't want them to flare out. Why? Because you don't do a push-up like this. You're trying to use this movement to get a push-up. So you draw your elbows back, bring your hips as low as you can, and notice that my hips stay down the whole time. My hips never come up, they stay down. Legs straight or legs bent. Each time. This is a really good way to build tricep strength. If you cannot do push-ups very well, I would try to do sets of like 8, 10, maybe 12 on the max end. You don't need to do 20 or 30. You need to get really good at doing a deep 8 to 10. If you can do that, it'll build your strength. And then do that for a couple weeks and work your way into some push-ups on the floor. So happy Whiteboard Wednesday.